Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, and I am Lori Smith on Blog Talk Radio, and I'm glad you can join me. It is Tuesday morning, December the 29th. This is One Child Abuse Survivor to Another, and today we're just going to talk about some more information that I find on the web regarding healing and child abuse survivor issues and things like that. And I'm just so glad you can join me. It's so early. I'm just waking up and having a coffee this morning and just trying to wake up. We do have some interesting things to talk about. I'm glad that you're here, and I have my good friend Karen sitting in the chat room, and I'm so happy you're here. And if there's anything that you'd like to add, or you think I need to bring up or talk about, make sure you let me know. My guest call-in number is area code 917-889-3736, and you're more than welcome to phone in with if you have questions, or if you just want to say hi, or you want to tell your story, or there's something that you really want to bring up. And it's a live streaming internet radio, blogtalkradio.com show. So if you do phone in, remember you'll be on the air. And if you would like to send a private email and you just like to keep it private, that's probably the best way to do it. Otherwise, if you just put it in the chat, I might read it out if you don't put private. So that's I just appreciate you being here, and I'm just so happy to be able to do this while I can. It's very much a healing journey for myself as I'm finding the information and passing it on to you, the listener. It sort of helps me with my own survivor issues, and it helps me learn how to walk out my own survivor issues. So I think it's just such a blessing to be able to do this, and just to keep passing the word, and we can do this, and that we can just keep reaching out, and there's so much good information out there. So that's what you'd like for me to share with listeners that's helped you out in the past, or that you found just really useful in your walk, in your journey to healing from stuff like, for instance, post-traumatic stress disorder, or just whatever kind of issues that you've had in your life. That would be great to share with everyone. And because this show is really, it's not just about me, it's really about all of us. We deserve to have a good life, and I think that if we can all support each other, a lot of times there's, I haven't seen, actually, when most people find out about my situation, they usually, if they do, I don't tell that many people. By now I am, but before I started coming out publicly with my story, I would only tell certain close people, because I just felt like I was in such pain, that there'd only be people I would really trust with my story and with my life story. And it really scares them off, and then they don't want to be friends anymore. So, it's kind of sad, because you feel like you want to reach out and talk to people, but you do have to find the people. You just have to reach out to the right resources, and there's lots of groups, and there's lots of great organizations that have put together these groups and different groups that you can get on and find some support. And I've met some wonderful people and some great friends through these type of chat, like Ning groups, and there's good information out there. And we're not alone. You're not alone. I'm not alone. And that's the whole, I guess, the whole comforting thought. Sad but true. But at least we know that we are not alone. And if we need to reach out, there are people, and there's supporters of survivors that are out there and ready and willing to help. So I'm just so glad you're here. Today I thought we would talk about, last night actually on my show, my 9:30 p.m. show, we were talking about making coping lists. I thought I would speak to the half-hour show, but it is so important to have coping lists and things that can help you get through stressful situations and post-traumatic stress disorder. If anyone suffers from that, it's there's things that you can do to help yourself, and there's lots of organizations out there who have come up with these great things that actually are very helpful. And I'll just mention today that I know a lady who's got a show on blogtalkradio.com, and her name is Michelle. She's got her own show, and it's called Heal My PTSD. And you can also see her website, their website there at www.heal myptsd.com. And she's their website. I went onto that website just to see what they were as far as healing my post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's about conquering the past, creating the future, awareness, education, treatment, and helping and healing abuse survivors, and not only just abuse survivors, but anyone who's had a traumatic experience in their life that's caused them to have post-traumatic stress disorder. So that I found really quite helpful. On their blog, this Michelle, she's got links and causes, symptoms, therapy. There's talk therapy. There's all kinds of different types of therapy: talk therapy, behavior therapy, cognitive behavior therapy, and what therapy can do to help. There's also healing. There's tips for constructing post-trauma identity and bridging the gap healing workshop. So you want to give her website a look and see if there's something on there that can help you. Because, certain events that happen in our lives, for instance, they were saying car accidents and, if you've fallen or let's say you've just seriously injured yourself or someone's injured you accidentally or whatever, this sort of thing can cause post-traumatic stress disorder. It doesn't have to necessarily just be associated with abuse. It's just that abuse, it does sort of cause that because abuse is very traumatic. So that's why there's a lot of people who were abused suffering with post-traumatic stress disorders. And so I thought we'd talk a little bit about that today. And I'm just going to check in my chat room and see if anyone's got a question now. And if anyone has any questions, you can let me know. And otherwise, I'm just going to continue to read. I have some information here from Dream Catchers for abused children, and they are down in the States, and they're also kind of spreading out. They've got people in the UK now. They've 3C nonprofit organization just aimed at child abuse prevention and awareness, and their motto is their mission, is to perish every child abuse survivor's nightmare, and I've got their information right here. But I have an awesome handbook that you can download from Dream Catchers for Abused Children. It's a child abuse handbook compiled by Donna Cashier and Sandra Potter, and they had some good information here regarding stages of recovery and healing. And I thought I'd just read some of that today, as I go through my own issues as well, and certain times it's just a little more stressful than others, and just to know that these things you're not alone in feeling these things, and you can get help for them, and there's a reason you are feeling these things. So this is the thing, right? It's not just that, sometimes I think as survivors of any kind of situation or abuse, we kind of feel, unless we talk to people, that really we're in it alone, and that we're on our own with it. And because I knew there was other people. I grew up in sort of a poverty-stricken area, and it wasn't so much like real poverty like you see around the world, but it was a very low-income area in the city I grew up in, and there were so many people that I knew that were mistreating their kids, but I was being mistreated as well. So it just didn't, nobody. We all just hung around together, all the kids that were from these families in this general area of the city, and it was kind of crazy the amount of people that were mistreating their children, and we all hung around for support and stuff. So I knew there was other people being mistreated because I had seen it and witnessed it firsthand. But I still felt very alone because nobody was talking about it. We were just going out and doing drugs and getting into trouble and stuff like that. So we weren't getting the help that we needed. So there's stages of recovery and healing, and I've kind of had to work through those as an adult. There's denial. There's also, there's anger, depression that come along with post-traumatic stress disorder. There's all kinds of things that can be associated with it. Post-traumatic stress disorder, they've listed here in the Child Abuse Handbook by Dream Catchers for Abused Children. They say it is a type of anxiety disorder that's triggered by a traumatic event. You can develop post-traumatic stress disorder when you experience or witness an event that causes intense fear, helplessness, or horror. Signs and symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder typically begin within 3 months of a traumatic event, such as a war, combat military, terror attacks, natural disasters, serious car accidents, child abuse, or physical, sexual, or mental abuse. And so, here they write here, post-traumatic stress is a natural human reaction to extreme stress. A traumatic event is a shock to the whole body slash mind system, which can overwhelm the mind's processing system, leaving the symptoms unresolved. And if they are fixed in time, it can be very incapacitating and distressing, it says. Developing symptoms of PTSD can happen to anyone, but fortunately there are very effective treatments available now, which enable the mind's natural healing processing of the event to take place, and then eliminate the symptoms, usually completely. Post-traumatic stress disorder makes you feel stressed and afraid. It affects your life and the people around you. For instance, post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms have 3 categories: intrusive memories, avoidance and numbing, and increased anxiety or emotional arousal. Symptoms may include flashbacks, trouble sleeping or nightmares, feeling alone, angry outbursts, feeling worried, guilty, or sad. They have written here stuff like upsetting dreams about the traumatic event, avoiding thinking or talking about the event, feeling emotionally numb, and things like hopelessness about the future, things like that. And so an overwhelming guilt or shame associated with post-traumatic stress disorder. And really, we're not alone in that. We can get help, and there's so many great groups out there that are working to really to combat this kind of sad disorders, post-traumatic stress disorder and stuff like that. So I would just say to continue to reach out, and friend, you can join these groups. I know I belong to the child abuse. It's let me just and it's a Ning group, and it was set up to support child abuse survivors and their supporters, right? People who support a child abuse survivor, and it's called childabussurvivors.ning.com. That's where you can find them on the web. It's a safe place for survivors and supporters of survivors. They're also on Facebook, and they have a fan page and different things like that. I find it very supportive. I've met some great people on there. There is some good information regarding healing and adult survivor issues. So if you are an adult and you're a survivor of child abuse or any kind of abuse, even domestic violence, it doesn't matter, like whatever kind of child issue going on, child abuse or domestic abuse, you can get on these groups and get some help. And that's one that I belong to. And I also belong to silverbraid.org. The Silver Braid it's a group that helps. Actually, it started by Ann Bissell, really for the sexual exploitation, group of people in the world who are trying to heal from sexual exploitation. But it's also aimed at domestic violence, victims of secondhand domestic violence. So just type into your browser Silver Braid, silver just like SILVER, and then braid, BRAID, and it'll come up with all the Silver Braid organizations. And there's great hotline numbers, crisis line numbers, and if you're feeling like you can't handle it and you're listening to this show, I want you to get off the show and dial 911 and get help. I've only got about 60 seconds left. I hope you'll join me tomorrow. And tomorrow morning, we're just going to continue talking about post-traumatic stress disorder and stages of recovery and healing by Dream Catchers for Abused Children. They were going to have a radio show coming up here in January with some great information, so you do want to tune into that. Donna Kashir will be hosting that. But make sure you dial, if you can't find a number to dial and you're having issues getting through the day and you don't know how you're going to survive and you think that it's just over, make sure you dial 911, get the help you need, and then come on my show and tell me how you made that phone call and how you've got the help that you needed, and you're walking it out, and you're going to keep going and keep moving forward. That's what this show is about. And you can join me tomorrow morning, same time, 5:30, and I hope that you will. And I hope that you'll just keep walking with me, because it's a journey, and we are walking it out together. And I know, because I'm one survivor to another, I know you can do it. And so you just hang in there and join me again, and make phone calls and get on the web and search this stuff out and get the help that you need.